Welcome to Using ForXMLPath, and in this video we're going to take a look at some code examples on what ForXMLPath will do to our queries from the standpoint of outputting XML formatted data. Now, ForXMLPath is kind of the granddaddy of the XML options, if you will. It gives you total, complete control on how your XML is formatted. Now, in this video, I'm going to kind of scratch the surface here and get you going with XMLPath. And I can't strongly enough suggest that you go out there into Books Online and start to dig into ForXMLPath, because this will get pretty deep on you, because you're going to start to dig into the world of XPath and all of that for traversing the document and doing all kinds of things. And then once you kind of get used to that, then you can start talking about taking data from XML, what's called shredding it into the table. But that's going to get outside this course pretty quick, and it's also probably 6-8 hour course in and of itself. So anyway, let's just go with XMLPath here and I'll get you going. So if I use my original command that we've been using, notice select the top three, we're getting the first name and the last name column from the person.person table, and we're going to output it to text. Make sure up here, yours probably looks like this, but notice we can output to text, to a grid, or to a file. But now we'll just go to text. And if I execute this, this is just the standard T-SQL query, right? Well, if I add the ForXMLPath to it, notice this one takes us the farthest, the fastest, right off the bat. Notice, I'll come down here and I'll do a little formatting trick with you. I'll hit enter, arrow over, enter, arrow over, enter, arrow over, and then I'll just kind of push them down. So notice this one has right off the bat given us a row element, right? A beginning and an ending row tag, and then it is nested in between those, the first name and last name of our first person out of the person table, right? Well, we can start to play with this one pretty easily and do some pretty cool stuff with it. So what I'm going to do is just put a space in there, and keep in mind that the column names and aliases in the path mode serve as XPath expressions. And that defines the path to the element in the generated XML. And so what I want to do here is say, you know what, let's call the rows employee, and let's execute that and take a look at it. Okay, don't really have to highlight that. But notice our row names are now showing up as employee, right? And I'll just kick employee down here, and then I'll go back up here and grab these. Okay, so you can see what that's done, right? We now have an employee tag for the names instead of row. But then I can also jump over here, put another comma, and say root, and just pass employees. So I'll execute this, and you can now see that I have a root tag, right? And then I have a first and last name, an employee tag, and this just kind of keeps going on and on and on. I mentioned this before, that if I go to the very end, you will see that there is an employees out there on the end. And I'll take out all that other data, but I want you to see that that root element right there is indeed there. And you can see it right there. Okay, so pretty cool stuff, right? I didn't kick this one down. So there we go. Now, we didn't have to write much code to get to that point, all right? But I want to show you something that is really cool with this, and that is I'm going to add another column to this, okay? I'm going to add the business entity ID to the query, all right? And if I execute that, you'll notice that I now have business entity ID as an element. And so let me pull this down and let you see this. And so now we've got the first name, the last name, and that's it for the employee. Okay, so notice we got business entity, right, as yet another tag. And I shouldn't have pulled those in. So I want this to be an attribute of employee. All right, well, how can I pull that off? All right, well, there's an easy way to do that, and that is to just alias this column. Okay, and I'll put an as in there so you can see it, and I'll put it in square brackets, and I'll just call it @ID, just like that. Okay, so I will execute that, and you will notice now that has just become an attribute of my row. How cool is that? So what you're getting here is an idea of how much flexibility that you have with the 4XML path. So notice employee ID is now an attribute right here of the employee tag. Okay. Now there's one more I want to show you, and I'm just going to copy and paste this in. And I'm going to paste in. Notice I'm going to select the top 3 first name, and I'm going to tell it that I want it to say imp name first, okay, and then last name, imp name last. And let me just run this so you can see how we can manipulate our tags, okay? So what we've told it is, I want you to enclose the first name in a tag called imp name, okay? And then I'll kick that down. So let's kick this, let's kick this, and let's kick this. Now notice what's happened. By putting the imp name first and imp name last, I've told it to put these particular column names inside a tag or an element called imp name, okay? Really cool stuff. There is a lot of power here. I'm just scratching the surface. Go out there and dig in 4XML Path. Look for these examples in working files. But this is where you need to start playing, and you can get whatever you want out of here in whatever form you want in XML.